I've gotten a couple of comments about the need for clarity in some of the positions as they relate to history and race. There are a couple of videos where I have mentioned the oppressive culture and the beneficiaries therefore too. And I want to make it clear that that is not to be construed with white people. All white people are not beneficiaries of oppression. Oppression exists within the white culture at a larger degree than it does in other cultures, just in number, not necessarily in discrimination or lack of access to opportunity or to wealth, but it exists. So when I say beneficiaries of oppression, that means exactly that, the people who have benefited from it. There are millions of white people who have not benefited from oppression. Also, there is a clear and vast difference between racist, prejudice, and discriminatory. All right. Racism is the act of believing your race is first or better. Now, that is just a thought, and it is not necessarily harmful. It's an opinion. To be prejudiced is to prefer a race over another for in whatever capacity. I prefer to deal with them. I prefer to work with them. I prefer to marry them. That's prejudiced. You could be prejudiced against your own race. You could be a white person that only dates black people, or a black person that only dates white people, or an Asian person who only dates African people. That is a prejudice. You prefer something. Now, discrimination is the withholding of opportunities or resources based on the prejudiced. Those are three completely different things. So hold all of those definitions in place when listening to the historical videos. The point of the videos is not to blur these definitions. It is not to make this a social argument. It's to point out as factually as possible what has happened in time, and if the particular area or situation or circumstance that's being studied deals with oppression, we're going to talk about oppression. If it deals with race, we're going to talk about race. If we're going to deal with discrimination, we're going to talk about discrimination. But to make it clear, no one thing is holistic. And I have been approached with the premise that I make sweeping statements or broad statements that cover the entire race or an entire group. And I would challenge those people who have made those assertions to go back and listen to exactly what I said. Because when I am talking about the oppressive culture and the beneficiaries therefore too, I think that that is very specific. And I have no problem with being challenged on that premise. And I have no issue in clarifying it, but I do think that that is clear. I think other people may have a definition that they are subscribing to the oppressive culture. The oppressive culture is not all white people. And I don't believe at any point I say all white people do anything. Anytime you start off with all or never, you're generally incorrect. So I appreciate the feedback, and please continue giving the feedback. I wanted to make a clarification based on that, because if one person sees that, probably someone else does see it. This is not to offend or put anybody on Front Street. This is a historical study. This is not a political or racial study in any shape, form, or fashion. I had one more thing to say. What was that? Also, I purposely do not mention my university. That is not an accident. I purposely do not mention professors. That is not by accident. I purposely do not mention students. That is not by accident. This is not to put anybody on Front Street or make anyone feel uncomfortable. I welcome any of my classmates to look at the channel. Many of the book reviews I do are from our classes. Many of our discussions are from our classes. Many of the topics that I present in class are on these videos. And as much as I enjoy their feedback in the classroom, I would like their feedback on the channel as well. So I hope that everyone will join the channel looking to hear something that they haven't heard before, or looking to hear a perspective that they don't agree with, and is willing to engage in discourse about the topics. I will definitely try not to take anything personal. I will try to give as factual information as possible. I will try to interpret the information without passion or prejudice. It's going to be hard because I am passionate about history now. So I will try to be non-biased, bipartisan. I am not a Democrat. I am not a Republican. I am not liberal. I am not conservative. I honestly believe I need to hear what the situation is before I tell you if I'm liberal or if I'm conservative. There's some things I'm conservative about. There's some things I'm liberal about. I would need to hear what we're talking about to find out if I'm conservative or liberal. I think if you are conservative or liberal before you've heard the question, that's a problem. So, I just want to make those clarifications. Race, prejudice, discrimination. And I will probably name this video those three things. And I bet a lot of people are going to look at it thinking I'm just going to just be slamming a political group, you know, talking about race, discrimination, and prejudice. But that is for clarification, so we can make sure that we are talking about history and historiography. All right.